Before you conquer anything in the outside world, you must first win the war raging inside your own mind. Most men never even see it. They treat success as if it's only strategy, resources, or luck. The truth is far more brutal. Machiavelli understood what most men spend their lives ignoring. Your greatest enemy does not sit across a boardroom table. It does not compete in the marketplace. Your deadliest enemy wakes up in your own body every morning and immediately begins negotiating with weakness. That enemy is the undisciplined version of you. The general does not negotiate, he commands. He surveys his mind like a military strategist studies a battlefield map. He finds weak points with cold precision. He cuts dead weight without apology. He fortifies what matters. Every thought allowed to drift is lost ground. Every distraction invited in is a breach in your defenses. Every choice of comfort over sharpness hands your opponent a loaded weapon and points it straight at your future. Focus is not a feeling. It is not something that shows up when the mood strikes. Focus is a decision, made with the clarity of a man who understands one harsh truth. Time is the only resource that disappears forever. Your mind is the battlefield. And right now, most men are losing it without even knowing the war has begun. By the end of this session, you will know the strategies to develop the general's mindset and become dangerously focused. If this message resonates with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to stay in touch. Let's begin. 1. The general does not react. He calculates. Weak men react. The moment provocation arrives, an insult lands, or chaos erupts around them, they respond instantly, emotionally, and without thought. They become a chess piece, moved by someone else's hand. And this is not an accident. It is precisely what the world is engineered to produce in you. Every notification, every conflict, every moment of disorder in your environment is a test. The majority of men fail it before they even register that an exam is being administered. The general operates differently. When pressure arrives, he does not flinch. He observes. He measures. He calculates the full weight of every possible response before moving a single muscle. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does not leave outcomes to chance when reason is available. That principle is not limited to political strategy. It is a complete way of inhabiting your own life, a psychological architecture that permanently separates the powerful from those who only imagine themselves powerful. Your emotional reaction is not strength, it is exposure. The moment you respond without calculation, you publish a map of your vulnerabilities to every sharp mind in the room. And there are always sharp minds watching. Every environment rewards the man who absorbs pressure like granite and releases his response with surgical precision. Deliberate, measured, targeted. Build a wall between what happens to you and how you respond. Inside that wall, you think. You ask not what you are feeling, but what outcome you are engineering. Feelings are data, not commands. The general reads them, extracts what is useful, and then does what must be done. React, and you become predictable. Calculate, and you become untouchable. 2. Eliminate everything that does not serve the mission. Machiavelli was not a man of sentiment. He was a man of strategy, and one of his most ruthless truths was this: a leader who tries to satisfy everyone will ultimately be destroyed by everyone. You cannot build something significant while carrying habits, people, and environments that quietly drain the capacity required to build it. The most important decision you will ever make is not about what you add to your life. It is about what you are willing to permanently remove from it. Most men are terrified of that removal. They hold on to draining friendships because they confuse familiarity with value. They maintain self-sabotaging habits because changing them feels like loss. They stay in environments that shrink them because the known, however suffocating, feels safer than the unknown. Here is the truth that Machiavelli understood centuries before modern psychology confirmed it. Your environment is not just influencing you, it is programming you. Every person you give your time to, every conversation you participate in, every space you occupy is either sharpening your edge or grinding it dull. There is no neutral ground. The general conducts a ruthless internal audit. He asks, does this relationship elevate what I am building or dilute it? Does this habit expand my capacity or erode it? Does this environment produce the version of me I am engineering, or does it drag me back toward the version I have decided to destroy? These are not cruel questions. They are necessary ones. This does not mean you become indifferent to people. It means you become disciplined about who and what earns genuine access to your time and mental energy. Your focus is finite. Your hours are finite. Every minute given to what does not serve the mission is a minute taken from the man you are becoming. Cut with precision. Build with intention. Protect your focus like it is your most valuable asset, because it is. 3. Silence is your most dangerous weapon. The most powerful men in history were rarely the loudest in any room. Power does not announce itself. It does not explain or justify itself to those not qualified to understand it. And yet most men spend enormous energy doing exactly that, explaining their moves, broadcasting their plans before execution, seeking validation from people whose own trajectories make their opinion irrelevant. This is not communication. It is self-sabotage, wearing the mask of confidence. Machiavelli watched rulers collapse not because they lacked intelligence, but because they could not control what came out of their mouths. Courts, kingdoms, and entire power structures fell because men revealed too much to too many far too soon. Information is currency. The man who spends it carelessly will always end up bankrupt, regardless of how much he started with. Every word you speak when silence would serve you is a withdrawal from your power account. Every plan announced before execution is a strategy handed to your opposition. Every emotion displayed publicly is a detailed map of your vulnerabilities, given freely to everyone who knows how to read it. Dark psychology reveals something uncomfortable about human nature. People do not respond to your openness with trust. They respond with calculation. The moment you expose your fears, your desires, or your next move, the most psychologically sharp person in the room acquires levers they will use to move you wherever serves them. The general speaks only with clear intention, or he does not speak at all. Silence inside a conversation is not emptiness, it is pressure. It compels the other party to fill the void, to reveal their position while his remains sealed. Silence is intelligence gathering. Silence is dominance without aggression. Train yourself to become comfortable in silence the way a predator is comfortable in stillness. The lion does not announce the hunt. He moves without declaration, strikes without warning, and lets the outcome speak in a volume no words could match. Speak less. Observe everything. Let your results be the only statement that matters. Point 4. The man who controls his hunger controls his destiny. There is a category of destruction that does not come from your enemies. It comes from inside, from appetite without direction, from desire without discipline, from the raw, unregulated hunger that lives in every serious man and, when left unchecked, becomes the very mechanism that dismantles everything he spent years building. Machiavelli observed that men are conquered most completely, not by outside forces, but by their own unmanaged passions. History has confirmed this with a consistency that should command the full attention of any man paying close attention. Look at the men who had everything and surrendered it, the leaders who built empires and watched them fracture, the executives, the athletes, the visionaries who reached the summit and then self-destructed in plain sight. In almost every case, the weapon that finished them was not wielded by an opponent. It was wielded by themselves. Unchecked desire, unmanaged addiction to validation, uncontrolled appetite for more, without the internal framework to sustain it. Hunger without discipline is not ambition. It is slow, sophisticated self-destruction wearing the mask of drive. The general understands that desire is not the enemy. Desire is fuel. But fuel without a controlled burn mechanism does not power an engine. It causes an explosion. The most effective men who have ever existed were not men without desire. They were men who placed their desire under deliberate command, directing it, regulating it, releasing it only toward their mission. They did not eliminate the hunger. They weaponized it. This is what dark psychology reveals about high performers that most self-improvement content avoids. The capacity to delay gratification is not a productivity hack. It is a power dynamic. When you can sit in front of temptation and choose your mission instead, you are building psychological dominance that extends far beyond that single moment of resistance. You are teaching your nervous system to obey your intentions rather than your impulses, establishing an internal hierarchy where the strategic mind governs the reactive body. Marcus Aurelius sat on the throne of the most powerful empire in the ancient world and did not lose himself to its pleasures. That was not accidental. It was the result of daily, deliberate internal governance. He reminded himself repeatedly that the quality of his life was determined not by what happened to him, but by what he chose to want. Control your hunger, and you control your timeline. Control your timeline, and you govern your outcomes. Control your outcomes, and you become a force the world has no choice but to reckon with. Drop in the comments right now, "My hunger obeys me." The man who can write that and mean it is already operating on a level most people around him will never reach. 5. Build in the dark. The strategy of invisible progress. At some point in every serious man's journey, he must make a decision most people around him will never understand. The decision to go strategically quiet, not out of defeat, not permanently, but with deliberate intention, to stop performing progress for an audience and let the silence around him grow loud while he grows formidable within it. Most men cannot make this choice. They are too dependent on the feedback loop, too conditioned to require the dopamine of visibility, too fragile to keep moving without constant external confirmation that people are watching and approving. Machiavelli studied rulers who endured and rulers who collapsed. One of the clearest patterns he identified was this: the leader who moved visibly was always easier to neutralize than the leader who moved beneath the surface. When your trajectory is visible, your destination can be calculated. When your destination can be calculated, your opposition can position themselves to intercept it. But when your preparation is private and your ambition is known only to yourself, you remove from anyone who might oppose you the one asset they need to stop you: information. You become a variable they cannot account for, and a variable that cannot be accounted for cannot be controlled. Dark psychology adds a dimension that cuts even deeper. The moment you begin publicly performing your development, broadcasting your progress, narrating your transformation for an audience, you trigger a mechanism where social recognition begins substituting for actual achievement. Your brain starts feeling satisfied before the work is complete. The result is a man who talks like a winner but moves like someone who already collected a prize he has not yet earned. The solution is radical and simple. Stop announcing. Start executing. When you resurface after a period of invisible, focused work, sharper and more capable than anyone anticipated, the impact on those who dismissed or doubted you is total. You do not need to say a word. The transformation speaks in a language that cannot be argued with or explained away. The man who requires no witness to do the work is the man who will eventually produce work that the entire world cannot ignore. Go dark on the noise. Go deep on the mission. Let people wonder what happened. Then show them through results so undeniable that silence was always the loudest strategy available to you. 6. Your circle is your ceiling. There is a law operating in your life right now that most men are entirely unconscious of, and its invisibility is precisely what makes it so costly. You will never sustainably outgrow the collective standard of the people you surround yourself with, because human beings are not isolated systems. We absorb the values, the language, the limitations, and the ambitions of those closest to us automatically, continuously, and without conscious awareness. Machiavelli advised the prince directly, "Choose your counsel with more care than you choose your battles. Poor advisors have destroyed more kingdoms than any enemy ever could." The men around a leader do not merely influence his decisions. They shape the very framework through which he perceives what is possible and what is worth pursuing. A man surrounded by small thinkers will eventually begin to think small, regardless of how large his original vision was. Dark psychology delivers one of its most uncomfortable findings here. The people closest to you can still function as the most effective limiters on your growth, not through malice, but through something far more complex. When you begin to raise your standards and operate beyond the shared ceiling of your circle, you trigger something in the people around you. Your progress becomes a mirror they did not ask to look into. And rather than face what that mirror reveals, many will attempt, consciously or not, to pull you back to the level where the reflection is comfortable again. They will call it concern. They will frame it as loyalty. They will describe it as keeping you grounded or realistic. But what is actually happening is the protection of a shared ceiling. Because if you break through it, it removes the last excuse for why they have not. Recognize this not with bitterness, but with clarity. When the people around you consistently minimize your ambitions and seem most comfortable when you are operating below your potential, that is not love. That is limitation wearing love's appearance. The general builds his inner circle the way he builds his army, with ruthless selectivity and zero tolerance for mediocrity that spreads through proximity. 5 relationships of genuine elevation are worth more than 50 relationships of comfortable stagnation. Audit your circle with the cold eye of a strategist. Your environment is not just where you live, it is what you are becoming. 7. You are the weapon. Now become unstoppable. Everything in this video has been building toward one singular conclusion. The most dangerous force on this earth is not a system, a circumstance, or an opponent with superior resources. It is a man who has decided, fully and without any path of retreat, to become something the world has no framework to stop. A man who has examined every weakness inside himself, every limitation in his environment, every voice that told him to shrink, and chosen with the cold clarity of a general surveying his final terrain to become something that cannot be undone. Machiavelli did not write his principles for the general population. He wrote them for the rare man, the man willing to see reality without comfortable illusion, to operate without the crutch of external approval, to build with a kind of relentless, unwitnessed intensity that converts vision into something that outlives the man who held it. That man is not born, he is forged. And the forging happens precisely where you are standing right now, in the decision, in the discipline, in the daily unglamorous choice to become harder, sharper, and more intentional than you were yesterday. You are the weapon. These principles are the whetstone. Every day you apply them with genuine commitment, you develop an edge the world will eventually have no answer for. Drop in the comments your final declaration. I am the general. I refuse to lose. Mean it, because the man who genuinely means it has already begun to become exactly that. If this reached something real in you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What comes next goes even deeper. The work is not finished. It has only just begun.